Do you want to learn how to create an image from this to this? Stay tuned. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are doing well just as I am. And today I would like to start off this video by thanking each and every one of you for supporting me on my YouTube channel. For all those wonderful people who have been sharing my videos on different social media platforms, for everyone who have been leaving those lovely comments on my videos, it has got me nothing but motivated and encouraged me to do more videos like this. So in my last week's video, you've seen that we've been to this beautiful place called Peak District. We took some really wonderful photos out there, and as promised, I'll show you how I edit all those photos. Let me take you over to my screen now. Okay, so as you can see, I've got these few photos selected here which were clicked at Padley Gorge, which was a beautiful location to do the long exposure photography. Now in this set of photos, I've got few photos that were clicked underexposed, some that were clicked normally exposed, and some that were clicked overexposed. And I'll show you how you can combine these three to create one beautiful image. And I'll also show you an example like this one where I've got one single image that has been underexposed, and how you can save this image and create something from this to this. So as you can see, the difference is so different, so beautiful, and if it was any other photographer, they would probably think of deleting the one on the left, but rather deleting, I'll show you a way how you can edit and have it as a keepsake. So let me just dig into the editing and reset the settings, and let me show you right from the start. So let's start with the basics. Okay, so as the image is a bit on the colder side, let me add a bit more warmth to it. So let me move the slide on to the right. Okay, so that looks good. I'm also just going to add the tint to be on the green side since we've got the greenery around. I'm going to move the exposure up to 6, and I won't bump it much, and I'll tell you why. Let's add a bit of contrast in there. I'm going to reduce the highlights so I can bring in a bit of the sky, and also just take off the harsh white lights that were on the tree. So as you can see, it's already brought it down. I'm going to increase the shadows, and let me reduce the whites and increase the blacks. Okay, that looks good. I'm also just going to add a bit more punch to my image by bumping the clarity and increasing a bit of vibrance in there. That looks good. And I'm just going to reduce the saturation a bit. Okay, happy with that. The image still looks green as you can see, but I'm going to sort it out by going to the color later. So let me just close that there. Now I also would like a bit more brightness and a bit more punch to my foreground. As you can see here, it's a bit dark and a bit too soft. So the alternate way of adding a bit more light is this beautiful filter called graduated filter. And what it does is it allows you to sort of add light either from the top to the bottom, or from the bottom to top, or left to right, or right to left. And I'll show you in this example how I use it. So that's my graduated filter. Just going to add in a bit of light in there. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, so with my mouse I'm just going to click and I'm going to take it up, and I'm just going to stop at the point where it sort of gets bright. Okay, so as you can see, everything about this line is sort of white and bright, so I'm just worried about the one below, so that's where I'm going to stop. And from here now I can play with my contrast settings and brightness. So just gonna move it down and see. Yep, happy with that. Just gonna add a bit contrast in there. Yeah, so that looks good. I'm gonna reduce my highlights. I can just bring in a bit. Yep, that looks good. Just gonna add a bit of shadows. Yeah, and reduce the whites again. Not too much, and let me just kick in a bit of black in there. Not too much. Okay, and let me add a bit of clarity in there so I can get that punch. There you go. So that looks quite nice. So as you can see, this has brought a bit change to the image, and that's my before without using that, and that's my after. So I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to close this now. The next I'm going to do is tone curve. Now in this, what I would like to do is, as you can see, there are these dark harsh black areas in the image, and I like to add in a bit more light to it by adding this haze effect, and I'll show you how I do that. So I'm just going to click the three dots for the shadows, midtone and highlights, and this last dot here, I'm just going to take it up and bring it up in the middle. Okay, so as you can see, it has filled up this sort of dark areas of the image and brought in a bit of haze effect, so it looks quite moody, and I quite like this. And I'll show you the difference. So that is what I had before it, and that's after using it. So I'm quite happy with that. So I'm going to close that. The next I have is color, my favorite, and let's jump on to orange. So red being the first color, I don't have really much of red going on, so I'm going to ignore that. I just want to control the warmth in my image, so I'm just going to use the orange, and let me move it on to the right, on the left, sorry, so I can just get a bit of warmth. Yep, happy with that. Saturation, let me just reduce it. Too much. Yep, happy with that, and let me reduce the bit of light in there. Yep, just add a bit orange again. There you go, happy with that. Next I'm going to move on to yellow, because it's got a bit of yellowish feel to it, so I'm just going to bring it down. So again, let me move it to the orange side to get it warmer. Okay, so that's already looking good. I'm going to move the saturation up a bit. Okay, and let me add in a bit of luminance in there. Yep, happy with that. Let's just go with the greens. Now the greens are already looking quite nice, but I like to give it a bit more punch. So again, I'm just going to move the hue onto the right, and so that's got it looking quite green, but I'm going to control that by bringing down the saturation. Okay, and let's just move on to blue. So I'm just going to control that a bit, blue up there, bring it down to 42. So that looks good, and I'm just going to quickly show you the difference. So that's what I had before using that. As you can see, a bit too greeny, but using the color effect I've managed to control all of that and keep it to my taste. So you can play around and change the settings to what you like, and obviously changes as per the images. I'm quite happy with how it looks on this one, so I'm going to stick to this. Yeah, so I'm going to close that there. Next I have a split toning. So this allows me to basically add color to my highlights and shadows, which I like using it on this image. So let me do that. So we move it onto the warm side for the highlights, and let me add a bit of saturation in there so you can see the difference. That looks good. And with the shadows, just gonna add a bit of gold in there so I can control that warmth. Looks okay, and I'm just gonna add a saturation. Yep, that looks nice. So again, as you can see, the difference using the split toning, that was before and that's the after. So it has basically just controlled the warmth a bit, keeping it perfect for my highlights and shadows to the colors I like. So again, I'm going to close that. And now with the details, so this allows me to add sharpening and also just control a bit of noise in there. So I'm going to zoom in the image so you can see the difference. Now let me just pick one of the rock sides there. Okay, so I'm going to add a bit of sharpening. I like to start by 100 and then increase or decrease depending on that. So I'm quite happy with already how it looks. Let me see there. Yeah, so 100 looks good, so I'm going to keep it to that. And the radius, I'm just going to add in a bit in there. Okay, you don't want to give it too much because then it sort of adds in a bit of noise as well, so you want to avoid that. The next is details, so I'm going to keep my details quite happy to where it already is. so I won't really play much. And the masking, so this basically, if I move it all the way to the right, it sort of adds softness to the image, which is obviously something you don't have on a landscape image. It looks good on a portrait, for example, but on this one you want to have it nice and sharp, so I'm going to keep it below. And let me see, I'm quite happy with that there. So that's for the sharpening. I'm going to move to the noise reduction. So for my luminance, I just want to make sure that on my light areas there's not a bit too much of noise, so I'm going to control that, and also on my contrast areas. So let me just bump that there. Okay, so happy with that. And just quickly, I'm going to show you the difference. I'm not too sure if you're able to see it, but I can quite see it here. But that's the after using the effect, and this is before. So as you can see, it's still quite soft, and as I use this effect, it has brought in a bit more crisp to the image. So I'm going to keep that there. Let me close that now. And the next thing is the lens correction. So I'm just going to make sure I click these two, which I always do. And for the profile, you want to make sure you're clicking the lens that you used. So I used the Tokina 11-16, which is my wide angle lens, and just going to make sure I click that, and the rest I'm quite happy, so I'm going to close that there. And I'll add a bit of vignetting to the image. So again, I'm just going to bring my amount to the left, and start by, yeah, so that looks okay. Also, something that I like doing is I like bringing the feather first right up to the left, so that sort of adds up the line, and so I know exactly where my main focus is, so then accordingly I know how to play with my midpoint and the roundness. So with the midpoint, let me see, just gonna bring it back in the center. So quite happy with that because I want my main focus to be there. And let me move the roundness. With that, to move the focus a bit more in. Yep, happy with that. So now that I'm happy with where my main focus is, I'm going to move my feather out the way, so that, as you can see, it's taken care of that harsh line that was there on the circle. So that's my before again, and that's my after. So I quite like that, because the main eye focus sort of goes right in the center, which is something I quite like having. And on my camera calibration, I'm just going to bring this back to 0, because I don't mind, happy with my tints. And I'm just going to add a bit of saturation in there to bring in the warmth. So I'm quite happy with the image. As you can see, that was my before, and that's my after. So the next three images I've got are of the same composition, but they have three different exposure levels. So this one, for example, is the normally exposed image. I've got the second one, which is underexposed, and I've got the third one, which is overly exposed. And I'll show you next how you can combine the three images to create that one beautiful image. So the first thing you do is you select the three images, you right click on your mouse, and you have this option called photo merge, and then you click on HDR. Now if you're unfamiliar with this term HDR, it stands for high dynamic range. I use this quite a lot for my landscape photography because it helps me not lose details on my highlights, not lose details on my shadows or my midtones, and I can control it to my taste. And as you can see, it has now combined these three images into this one image, giving me good highlights, good midtones, good shadows to play with, and all I need to do next is just tweak them in Lightroom, which I'll do next. Just before I go, I'm just going to show you this option, which is de-ghost amount. Now because I click these images using a tripod, I would not expect any camera shake, and that's the reason why I'm clicking this option low. If you had to click the same images using handheld without a tripod, then the option high would be helpful, because it would help you take out any of these artifacts or the ghosting that would be shown on the images, and it's quite good. And hence, if you are using a tripod, go with low, but if you're going to click handheld, then definitely click high. So I'm going to click on merge next. Okay, so as you can see, it's creating that HDR image, and it's going to throw it up at the end for me to then work on. So I'm just going to wait for it to come up. There you go. So I've got that there, and you know that it's the HDR image because it has this extension hdr.dng, so that's telling you that it's the HDR image. So now that I've got it here, all I need to do next is possibly go through all the settings and do it again, or I can try taking the settings that I did on the first image and paste it in the other one and see if I need to tweak it from there. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just copy the settings out from here. I'm going to go onto the image next, and I'm going to paste it. I will definitely expect to do some tweaks, which I shall do, but let me just see to what extent. Okay, as you can see, it's really got a lot of purpley, orangey, and obviously not to my taste. So let's go ahead and tweak that now. Alright, so I'm going to start by basic, and let me just get down the temperature because it's a bit too warm. Okay, that's a bit too cold. Okay, yeah, that looks okay. Still a bit too greeny, so let me just add the tint up to around 42, 45 maybe. Let's have a look. Yeah, it looks okay. So the brightness is a bit too bright, so let's go with the exposure next. So I'm going to take that down. Okay, so that looks okay. The next thing, the highlights, I'm just going to see if I need to change that, and that looks okay. Shadow is already high, so I don't need to play with that much. The whites, let's have a look. The white looks okay here, and the black, let's have a look and see if I need to tweak that. That's also going to get it moved back. Yeah, happy with that. And the clarity, happy with that. I'm just gonna add a bit more punch. There you go. So that's looking good. I'm not gonna play much with the settings here because I'm happy with how it looks so far. The next thing I really want to do is just add a bit of graduation filter up here. So let me just do that. I already have one which I used on the previous one, so I'm just going to take it up because I want to have that combined with this level here. It up. Okay, there you go. So let me just tweak it from here now. So let me add in a bit of brightness in there. Okay, happy with that. Just gonna decrease the shadows a bit. Yep, looks okay. Highlights. Yep, gonna decrease that. Shadows, I'm gonna keep it there, or maybe reduce it. Let's have a look. Yeah, that looks okay. The whites, let's have a check and see. Do I increase that? Nope. So I'm gonna decrease that. Okay, looks okay. And the blacks, I'm just gonna get it up a bit. Nope. I'm gonna keep it back to what it was. Yep, looks good. And the whites, lovely, happy with that. I'm going to close it and I'll just show you what difference does it make. So that was my before, and here's my after. So as you can see, it adds up a bit of brightness to the foreground here, balancing it up with the background there. So I'm quite happy with how that looks. I'm going to close this. Next, the tone curve. Again, I'm just going to tweak it a bit up. Yep, happy with that. Close. Color next. Don't have much of reds there, so I'm not going to touch that. Orange, let me just add in a bit of saturation in there. Okay, looks good. That looks a bit too orangey, so I'm just going to move it back. Happy with that. And let me see if I need a bit of luminance on it. Yep, looks good. The next is yellow. and so I'm just going to decrease that. Actually, I'm quite happy to where it is sitting, but I'm just going to move it up. There you go, that looks quite nice. So it's not too orangey on here, so I'm just going to balance that. Yep, happy with that. Saturation, let me just use that. Yep, and the luminance, just keep it up a bit. Yep, looks nice there. Alright, so with the greens, let's have a look. So I'm going to move the hues to 52, that looks okay. Saturation, a bit less, there you go, so that looks okay. Luminance, I'm happy, though I can try adding a bit of brightness to the greens and see if it helps. Yep, happy with that. And the blues, not much to do there really, but I'm just going to fill in a bit of blues that I can see here. Yep, done with that. Okay, I'm going to close that. Split toning, let me just add a bit more in there. So the hue, take it up a bit. Yep, saturation, make it a bit more there. Yeah, that looks good. The shadows, happy with where it is, so I'm just going to keep it there. Maybe just move the saturation a bit less. Yeah, actually quite happy with that, so I'm going to keep it there. And that's my difference, so that's before using it, which look all a bit tinty, and yeah, that one looks quite nice now, so I'm going to keep that there. Details, sharpening, we had that from the previous, so I'm not going to change that much. Quite happy with how that looks. Yeah, so I'm just going to close that there. Lens correction, making sure that I've got the lens selected, yes. And the effect, again, I'm just going to bring the feather to see where my focus is. I'm happy with that focus, in fact. I'm just going to move it back, and dehazing just a bit maybe. There you go, quite happy with that, in fact. So let me close that, and dehaze, let me add a bit of saturation in there. Awesome, quite happy. Alright, so that's my after, and let me just show you the before. That was what it looked before, and that was again after the three images were combined, and this is what we got it to look. It's quite different and quite beautiful, and again, as I said, you can tweak it to the way you like, where this is obviously what I like to see it as, and I'm going to keep that. So since I've got this, I can just quickly go on to the next one, and this is just a recap to what we did. So I'm just going to get that three images selected again. That's one, got two, and I've got three, and I'm just going to right click again, photo merge, HDR. I'm just going to wait for the preview. Okay, again, as you see, it's got quite bright, but again, as you saw, we managed to save that. So I'm just going to click on merge. Just going to wait for the image to pop up there. There you go, so that's come out there, and all I need to do next is I'll try to copy the settings out of this photo and paste it on that one, and fingers crossed there's not much of edits that we need to do on it. Base settings, voila, how beautiful is that? So that's basically your before, and that's your after, and I'm already keeping that. So that was it. I hope you all learned something new today, and if you do happen to try out long exposure photography, or maybe even happen to click some underexposed photos, I hope the skills help you bring back life to your photos so you can have them as a keepsake. Thank you all once again for watching this video. If you are new here, please make sure you subscribe to my channel, and in case you don't want to miss out on my next week's video, make sure you hit the bell to get notified as soon as I do. Until next time, keep practicing and keep clicking.